Cheers.
Cheers to episode.
Oh my god!
How could you do that?
I just can't Okay, so ESPN running right now on the TV. It says Patriots expected to hire Josh McDaniels as offensive coordinator. First reported by Barstool Sports.
It says that.
Yes, swear to God. Oh, it just went away. Now they're talking about Michigan beating Ohio State. I swear
Wait,
to God, it just said that.
In college football, the day after the championship, they're talking about Michigan beating Ohio State.
Yes, Sharon Moore's running around giving high fives.
That's unbelievable.
Unbelievable? I don't think that's unbelievable.
Can't they let it go at some point?
Okay, Dan Orlovsky talking about how good Jaden Daniels is. I don't care about that.
Evan, why are you recapping SportsCenter for us?
No, because I am
for our
going
listeners,
to take a picture.
in case they didn't get to watch the 6 o'clock.
And send it to you guys. This is first reported by Barstool Sports.
I bet it was Kirk Minahan. I feel like he's a Patriots insider.
Dave Portnoy quoted his tweet 2 hours ago. That said
Alex, little pro tip: make sure you don't sit too far away.
Shut up.
How far you are leaned back now is not going to do well.
Lean back with it.
I'm not talking.
Roll with it.
It's episode 198 as Evan takes that picture of SportsCenter. I'll set us up. It's Tuesday, January 21st, 2025, 6:35 p.m. Eastern, 5:35.
Who scooped it.
Correct.
Hey,
we already
thanks
know
for
this.
joining the show, Alex. Where have you been?
Grant
it's
already
hard to
said
listen.
that.
Evan goes on
I
like
hope all of our
28
listeners
tangents.
text you and say, geez, Alex, you were checked out in the first 5 minutes. 6:35 p.m. Eastern, 5:35 p.m. Central Time. It's freezing cold in Michigan. It's snowing across the South. Alex, you're snowed in. You don't have groceries. You are in lockdown.
It's just not.
You ran?
Yes, it's 38.
Oh my God, David Goggins. Who is this guy?
There's
You know who's
1,000
carrying the
people
boats?
outside.
Alex is carrying the boats for the Lions because he said, you know what? I'm just going to get myself better. Wow, that's stunning. The good thing, it's -5 or so real feel here in Michigan.
It's pretty cold.
Type of weather that makes you cough when you walk outside. Type that your nose hair freezes. The good thing is, at least our professional football team is still playing in the playoffs, right? The good news is, especially with this weather and this depression, at least my biggest rival in football didn't just win a national title, correct?
Bad joke.
Oh, okay.
Bad
Sorry, I
joke.
thought I'd give it a try. Just setting the stage, okay? Tonight's going to be a more depressing, let it all out therapy show for Lions fans in particular. So that's what we're going to talk about. It's going to dominate the show. Weekly check-ins will probably be shorter since we were all together. Alex is clicking furiously on his mouse, which is picking up in his microphone. So please be cognizant of that, Alex.
Shut up, dude. God.
We'll also talk about the rest of the divisional round. This college football playoff final. Behind the scenes, we were going to have this show last night during the first half of the CFP final, but we had a snow day basically for the show based on Evan's schedule. Hope everyone is staying safe today down in Tecumseh. And then we have Michigan and Michigan State basketball, the lone bright spots to talk about at the end of the show.
Is it a bright spot for Michigan?
I still feel okay.
Kidding.
It's not the best week. You don't want to lose to Minnesota, but it's not the worst thing. Let's start with Alex. I guess all three of us talk about.
Okay, I'll go first.
Your week. If it's anything combined, we could all just talk about it.
Okay. I went to Michigan Saturday at 5 a.m. to go to the Lions game with you guys and Ben.
Best game ever.
It was a good time, I guess, sort of. Pre-game was pretty fun. Game was not very fun. Post-game was pretty funny.
Post-game was delirious.
Yeah. But good to see everybody, I guess. I don't have a great recap for that.
I guess.
It was a sad Sunday afternoon flight back to Houston.
Good
and
travels
as Grant
on the way
mentioned,
back.
yeah, it was no problem. As Grant mentioned, it snowed here. I went for a run today, and these people, you could tell, had never seen snow because they were the happiest people I've ever seen in my life.
Taking pictures
For Instagram, sledding with like pans and baking sheets,
jeans,
boxes,
pans.
They were sledding, just with whatever they could find in their house. They were using to sled. They don't have sleds, obviously. Yeah, people were loving it. I saw a person with, keep in mind, there's probably like 3-ish inches on the ground, maybe. Like you can see the grass.
Okay.
Less than 3 inches, Alex.
It's pretty just like a slushy ice. I mean, there's spots where it's heavier, but not really anywhere at this point in the day. It's already been melting. And there was this lady who had full-blown skis on, trying to go down like a 10-foot hill.
Yes.
She bought
Like-
them. Might as well use them.
She on X Games
A
mode.
smaller hill than the pit. And
When's
she
he
had
on?
her skis.
It's hard to beat
No,
the pit,
like-
Alex.
It is.
Yeah, don't
No,
throw
it
the
is.
pit out like it. Pit's no joke.
I'm just like trying to get
The pit's a black diamond, if we're being honest.
Absolutely
It would be
is.
like
Herrick Park is a blue.
no. Herrick Park's got some steep side.
It's no pit.
Pit's steeper.
Pit
No,
is
the
crazy.
Pit's crazy.
It's called the pit for a reason.
It's the country club's pretty nice too.
Yeah.
Couple
Oh,
holes.
through the woods, that's a double black. I wrecked my hip up on that.
Raisin Valley's got a couple good hills.
What's like an easy one in Tecumseh? Is there one like a small one that like no one goes to, maybe, or people do go to?
I always thought Herrick Park was a joke, but apparently you thought I had some good runs.
I mean, it wasn't great, but it wasn't the worst.
Whatever. It was
Either way,
slow.
small hill, and there was everybody and their mother was sledding on these hills, and one lady was skiing. One dude had his full blown snowboard. Like, all right, this is interesting.
Can't blame them though. They never get snow.
Like I said, happiest people I've ever seen. So good for them. I'm happy all these people got to experience it. And then we had like a half day snow day for work. So to go enjoy the snow, quote.
Hell yeah.
So here we are. Supposed to freeze tonight. So that's when it's going to get dicey.
Not so fun tomorrow
Correct.
when the ice is in.
No snow plows. The message on the news this morning was the city of Houston was talking. They're like, or like the people in charge. They're like, what's your plan? Does keep the roads clear? And like, well, we don't have snow plows or salt, so our plan is to wait until it melts.
Yeah.
That was it. That was their plan.
Yes.
So we're waiting until it melts.
That's going to be great.
Yep.
So you didn't have as much snow as LSU got.
This morning we did, but it melted pretty fast.
The scenes out of LSU, the video I haven't sent. I saw some ones in the morning that their football account posted, but it got a lot worse. That was full on blizzard conditions in LSU. That's crazy. They're going like half those states, Alabama, I think. Saw some pictures from Marissa's family in Alabama. So Auburn and then the airport in Atlanta was crazy. Like we're talking about single day snow records across the Gulf states, which is nuts. Must be El Nino. That's why I chalk everything up to.
Global warming.
Global cooling.
Mm.
I don't know how that works. Not the show for it. Evan, if you have any other life updates outside of our weekend,
Wait.
feel free to share it. And if not, I think we just get into
Basketball. I went 1-1 this week.
Nice.
Rough week.
Well, okay.
Friday night varsity game was at Adrian. Sold out crowd. Standing room only. Once again, that gym is too small for an SEC school.
Where was that? Sorry.
It was at Adrian for
Okay.
first in the SEC. County rivals, two biggest schools in the county. Adrian has their Division I basketball player,
Whoa.
Whoa,
Really?
they do? What's his name?
Stevie Elam. He's going to
Where's he
Milwaukee.
going?
I love that name, Stevie. UWM? Like Wisconsin, Milwaukee?
Yep.
Hell yeah.
It was a hard fought game, rivalry game. Tecumseh took the loss in it, though. That was probably the highlight. One of the biggest events of the week. And then Saturday, I hung out with you guys all day, all evening. Sunday morning car ride was chilly,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, how was
freezing.
that? Oh.
Seemed like it was
Just
a lot
talk?
longer than an hour and a half. We didn't say much. No, there wasn't much conversation to be had.
Listen to Pat Caputo break down last night's game on the radio.
It was basically just wake up and get out of there.
You
Okay.
should have called it a 97-1.
And then
Just
Sunday, I
got
was
your thoughts
so
out.
freaking tired. Luckily, Michigan State won to make things a little bit better, but
Yes. Well, Illinois fans don't think they won.
I
Well,
really
they don't.
haven't done
We'll get to
anything
that.
the last couple days and probably won't do anything tomorrow. We had a game Monday. Last night we lost. We blew it.
I think with the cold weather, I kind of, joked around it in the beginning, which I like to do. But I will say there's always that week in the Michigan winter where you just really contemplate this state and what it does to your mental health in the winter. And I think this is the week for it. I think I just want to go to sleep. I just want to wake up and pray that March gets here sooner than later.
Hey, 58 days away from opening weekend of March Madness, Grant. 58.
That's nice. Hiatus will be over then.
Yeah.
Wink, wink. We were back. So yeah, guys came in Saturday morning. Thankful the game was on a Saturday. Got to Detroit bright and early. Went to a burger joint that we'll knowingly call Big Boy for the rest of the time. Big Boy Junior. I don't know what you called it exactly, Alex.
Big Boy Junior.
Big Boy.
Correct.
Not in a loving way, in a mean way. My fault. In a way, I had talked it up because it was nice during the Bills game, but it seems like they changed some of their policies. And we also, for the Bills game, were able to sit at the bar, which I think was a better experience because the TVs are better set up. So we sat there. It was good food, though. You can't say it.
People
wasn't
are
good
saying
people
after the Miami or Florida or whatever, what city we were in, that bar that you claimed was like the greatest bar ever. And then this burger bar, I mean, your track record is not good. It's not good.
You're saying this.
Yeah, but I mean, anybody who was at both would agree.
Whoa, Alex, you forgot the 2 recommendations he did in New York. The wing spot, late at night.
Bar Coastal.
And then
John Rothstein.
That was John Rothstein. That was in McGrath.
And then the following day when I think Grant had to go into work, we watched the Chiefs-Titans game at a different bar.
What was that bar called?
I don't know. It's the Iowa Hawkeyes bar, though.
Yeah, that one wasn't bad. Okay, but New York City. Probably could have walked into a lot of bars that would have worked.
Maybe you just have a bad luck of having a good time at spots and then trying to rerun and recapture that magic, and it misses.
You can't recapture the magic.
So stop doing it.
Well, the burger bar was tough because we sat in the other room and they had beach volleyball on the TV when it was a full slate of college hoops on, and then they turned on the divisional game as we were about to leave. But we went to Old Shillelagh, never been there, cool spot. Saw some old friends along the way, so I thought it was pretty good. I will say by the end, because we put in a shift there, and it's just, again, this is just me becoming an old man slowly before the age of 30.
Your legs hurt.
Well, yeah, they were sore. I was like actually looking forward to sit down. When we went into the stadium, I went to pee. You guys went to go shop for merch.
You were tired?
I was standing outside, leaning up against the wall, watching Chiefs Texans. I was like, man, my dogs are barking. I would like to sit in my seat.
You didn't even stand for that long.
I mean, for at least 3 hours straight.
Got to get some cardio in your routine, Grant.
Oh, please.
Too much lifting.
Well, standing still. I'm not even moving. Like if I'm running, it's almost different because you're moving still. Anyways.
I probably stand like 5 hours a day.
Okay.
Every day. I have a standing desk, so I always stand up.
Badass alert.
And Evan probably stands even more than me because he's always on his feet, He's always doing shit. So, Grant, be better, dude.
I stand a little bit, but I'm just saying.
When?
At work, I stand a little bit. Not a lot.
What's a little bit? Like 35 seconds?
Like at least an hour in the morning, hour in the afternoon.
Be better.
Try to. Some days change. But yeah, music in the bar is my biggest factor of whether or not I like the bar. If I can't hear...
Dude, you're a grumpy old man. It's unbelievable.
If I can't hear... I suck at reading lips, so that's a struggle for me. Like if you're trying to tell me something... And I just hate having to lean in, like turn your head to really put their mouth by your ear to tell you something. I just hate it. It's not how bars should be. And it sucked towards the end. It was fun for a while, and then it got really crowded, and I was getting bumped left and right. So the last 30 minutes of Old Shillelagh, I was like ready to get into the game, which was fine. It served its purpose. But yeah, that was my thoughts on that bar. $20 cover, a little steep, but it's the divisional round, so I get it. So that was Saturday. Obviously, we went to the game. I think we'll get more into the atmosphere. I have some questions about that itself when we get into it, which I guess we can get into now. I guess it's time to peel the Band-Aid off and get into the Detroit Lions loss to the Commanders 45-31. Let's do it this way. I have the two kind of sections. Let's go game specific. Let's just talk about things that happened in the game, and then we'll go big picture, like what it meant for the season, what it meant for the team. We'll try not to do too much of looking forward in terms of like the roster, free agency. Just because I think, we have a whole offseason ahead of us. We can talk about Ben Johnson, obviously, because he is now a Chicago Bear head coach. But I would like to start off before we get into the nitty gritty of the game of just doing a check on you guys in terms of this nifty little graphic. Where are we at in the 5 stages of grief right now? Where would you slot yourself in?
Acceptance.
You're through it, Evan.
Yeah,
I'm over it.
Really?
I was very upset watching the Eagles game, but now I'm over it. It's just...
I didn't watch that game. So that's when I was really in the depression stage.
That was depression.
Just reality of the truth of what was in front of us the entire night on Saturday.
What are you going to do? What are you going to do at this point?
The Lions played their worst game, offensively and defensively. Defense couldn't stop a nosebleed, and the offense had 5 turnovers.
Oh, yeah.
Ugh. I think denial started hitting me maybe like after the JMO interception. I was like, this isn't happening. We're not actually going to lose. Or like even down to the onside kicks, I was probably still in denial.
I was in denial in the first half.
I think I did bargaining right away with my jokes. I think I just skipped a bargaining. Didn't really get angry.
Best way to get over it, American society, start making jokes.
I think I'm in the mix of like, I'll get angry sometimes, but I'm still in depression. I haven't I see new things or I think of new things in the lulls of everyday life and it makes me depressed. And then acceptance, I don't know if I'll ever accept a loss. It really sucked.
Who sent that video?
More context, please.
No,
I'm just saying like that's so random or vague.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to think. It was like a video where the dude is just like going through his everyday life and then like everything he's doing, he's just screaming.
You.
Yeah. That is how I feel. When I watch TV or like I'm watching something, it comes up to me and I'm like, and then I move on. And then it comes up again, and then I get mad. But I accepted that they lost.
Yeah, I have avoided watching my daily shows every single day.
Yeah, I don't think you guys are in acceptance then. Acceptance is like you've made peace with it.
I am at peace with it. I just avoid going back. I avoid watching Good Morning Football. I do not watch NFL Live. I did not watch Sports Center.
No Peter Schrager.
Damn. No Dan
After the national championship game last night, when they had on the thing that they were going to discuss the NFC and AFC championship games, I turned it off. Because I can't talk about NFL. I don't want to talk about it. So maybe I'm in denial. So.
I'm probably the biggest sicko then. I'm starting the second quarter of my rewatch of the game. Just was too busy with work and stuff.
The highlights immediately Sunday morning, Evan.
You're watching Jaden Daniel highlights then.
Yeah, it sucked.
Yeah,
and you're watching Teddy Bridgewater hand the ball off. That's it.
Yeah. Let's do what we always try to do is give our credit to the winning team first and foremost, and then we'll talk about the Lions ourselves. My biggest thought:
Lions were tipping their defense. Just FYI.
That seems like a
there
juicy
is a
thing.
Bunch of breakdowns of like our linebackers and blitz pickups. Obviously, they would motion
when we're blitzing.
When we're blitzing.
Okay.
For example, there's a big on Jane Daniels' perfect moonshot ball over Kirby Joseph. That play, our linebackers are tipping what's going to happen. Okay, they run a motion and cross. I don't remember the wide receiver goes in cross. Okay, it's man-to-man, whatever. We got one high safety. No big deal. Okay, but the opposite linebacker of the running back is staring at, I think, Austin Eckler. But he's a cross formation on him. So if he's staring at him, that means, okay, I have that running back in man-to-man. So it's 100% man-to-man. They're not bluffing. And then that Jack Campbell is also blitzing, because why would the opposite linebacker have the running back lined up in man-to-man? So I think a lot of inexperience or attention to detail on the defensive side, when your back's up against the wall, you lose a train of focus, lose a train of your fundamentals, and boom. But he also threw the ball in the bucket. But, I mean, tipping plays on the defensive side doesn't help, especially when you're facing off a rookie quarterback. Is he well experienced? Yes.
Yeah.
We had no pressure, so it doesn't really matter. No.
This is a good stat chart from Athletic article I thought was interesting when you just compare him to other rookie quarterbacks who made the championship game. For those looking at the chart, the 5 quarterbacks are Ben Roethlisberger, Joe Flacco, Mark Sanchez, Brock Purdy, Jane Daniels, all rookies who made the championship game. And as you can see from this chart, offensively, all of them are pretty good outside of Mark Sanchez. Like they had the 18th ranked offense, but Jane Daniels, the team was 5th offensively. The biggest glaring difference between all these teams and Jane Daniels is they are all top 5 in team defense and special team rank combined. Commanders were 24th out of 32. Purdy was 1 with defense. Sanchez and the Jets were 3. Flacco 3. Roethlisberger and the Steelers 4. He did more with less. I mean, they won what? How many? 4 games? 5? Whatever it was to get the second pick in the NFL draft last year. He scared me going into the game. He delivered. He didn't. I kept saying, again, we've already talked like in the car, so a lot of this will be repeat, but just for the audience, I don't think he threw like a single interceptable ball in the entire game. He didn't really put anything in harm's way. Like to Evan's point, maybe our own doing with not getting pressure, tipping our plays, but just as a rookie, you'd expect either against the Buccaneers or against the Lions in your first playoffs, especially on the road in both, you'd throw a pick. He didn't do it. He's just better than what an average rookie quarterback, I think, would be in this situation. So I have to first and foremost tip my cap to him for that.
Lions also didn't make the Commanders one-dimensional.
He's also very old for a rookie quarterback.
Okay, he's still a rookie, Alex. He still hasn't played in the NFL this
one year. He is 24. He's played a lot of football.
It's crazy. He was the kid at Arizona State where
he beat Michigan State twice.
Yeah, his teammates were posting pictures of him trashing his locker. Remember
stealing
when he
all
left?
The stuff out of his locker room, saying he was a bum anyways.
It's crazy.
Herm Edwards product. Never forget.
Yeah, Herm Edwards product. To your point, Evan. Yeah, Commanders also credit chop on our defense. They ran the ball. You know, it's not something I necessarily expected they'd be able to do as well as they did against us. I think they almost ran for like 200 yards, but they were just chunk playing us left and right. They ran hard. They also, adversity, they lost their best offensive lineman pretty early in the game. I know everyone loves to talk about the Lions injuries that we suffered, which are true, but like imagine we lose our best offensive lineman in the first quarter of a playoff game. I think that would be a problem for us. So credit to them for adapting and doing well. And then lastly, I mean, I thought their defense, like, it wasn't great by any means, but they capitalized on the plays. They had the pick 6, and then sadly, my guy, Mikey S., just big play as a rookie as well. Big 2 plays as a rookie. So the thing that struggled to grappling with is like if you play that game 10 times, I still like our chances. I think obviously we proved we were the better team throughout the entire year, but I can safely say the better team that day that played there that deserved to win was the Commanders, and that's also hurts.
Dan said our B game wins that game every time.
Yeah, our B game is one side of the ball doesn't suck. And both teams sucked. And everybody's like, well, we had 5 turnovers against the Texans. Yeah, but the
probably win that game 8 out of
45.
10 times.
8 out of 10 is generous. I would say 6 out of 10.
I think 8.
Maybe 6.5 to 7. But
I think
again,
the Commanders offensively are no slouch.
No, I think it speaks to the point that our collective fan base, not overlooking opponents anymore, but yeah, I think they're solid, and I'm very curious to see how he does against Philly. I know he already played 5 touchdowns against them.
Spanked.
That will suck. Sticking in the game box here, Alex, let's hear from you. I have a question for all 3 of us. We'll start with you. A lot of moments in this game that sucked. A lot. But what was the biggest reason, if you had to pinpoint, for the loss?
One play? You're making me pick one play.
Could be more broad of like game planning or whatever, but you kind of have to drill down, preferably to like one moment. Yeah.
Okay. Well, the overarching would be turnovers.
Or reason. Yeah.
And then the one specific moment would be 3rd and 1 Jared Goff fumble, about to go up 14-3. And I said that in the car right after the game.
True.
Probably win if that ends in 7. Instead, it leads to them scoring, I believe, and then pick 6 right after that.
No.
Maybe.
They scored to go 10-7, then we scored to go 14-10.
Laporta.
Then they score. Then we go pick 6. Yep.
What a half.
The most points scored ever in a second quarter in a playoff game we witnessed live.
Commanders scored 28 points.
And we scored 14. It's
But
crazy.
anyways, yeah,
42.
the 3rd and 1, Goff fumble, baby hands reemerging.
Oh, you don't have to say that. It wasn't that
Dan
type
Campbell
of fumble.
said Amon-Ra slipped and fell. That's why Goff didn't get
He
rid of
did.
double
I
pumped.
watched that back.
He did. And Glasgow got cooked, and we had no one to protect with David Montgomery. That's how that play happened.
Yep. Would I have liked a different play call?
Burning us again.
I sure would have loved to run it on 3rd and 1. Dan says they ran that play 1,000 times. They would have ran it again no matter what. Because they're going to go for it on 4th and 1.
Kind of guy. He's never going to throw
That's fine.
Bus.
That's fine. And I've always been the guy that says, if it works, we're not talking about it. But 3rd and 1, playoffs. I want to run the football.
But we're talking about it. Yes.
We're talking about it.
That play changed everything, I think.
Yeah, on that play specifically, because I had some notes about it. This will make people mad. I did some of my own number crunching, which is always dangerous to make sure I do the right math. But Jahmyr Gibbs was averaging 20 yards per every time he touched the football before that 3rd and 1 call. I took out his 1-yard touchdown run for that, and I counted all his receptions and runs because I thought the 1-yard touchdown run didn't really factor in. It bumped down the average, but 20 yards every time he touched the ball leading into that. I guess that leads to a bigger question. I'll stick with you, Alex, on this since you talked about the play. I saw in that same Mike Sando athletic article with the Jane Daniels stat talking about Dan Campbell having to maybe reel in some of the aggression in playoff games based on what we saw in San Fran and now this. Because the beautiful thing about the Lions the all year that we loved, and now I feel like a hypocrite second guessing it, is that they treat 3rd and 1s like most people treat 2nd and 1. That's your time to take your shot because we know we're going for it in 4th and 1 and we trust our team to get it. But when you're at the 17-yard line, up 7-3 in a home playoff game, are we getting to the point where maybe we just decide to take the first down?
I did not think I would ever flip off that. But there is a difference between a regular season game and a playoff game. That
Correct.
maybe, I don't know, but maybe our coaching staff hasn't gotten that switch figured out yet. It's 3rd and 1 when you're the best or top 2 running team in the NFL, you have to run the football. So yes, I think they need to reel it in maybe a little in the playoffs. I'm fine with doing the regular season. You lose a game in the regular season, it's not the end of the world. You lose in the divisional, and now you're seeing that it is the end of the world. So yeah, I wouldn't mind maybe dialing back the aggression a tad in the playoffs. I'm not saying change who you are, but you got to be smart, especially on a 3rd and 1 play.
I just don't think they're ever going to change their identity regardless of the situation.
I don't think they are either.
I don't think it's going to change.
3rd and 1 in the Super Bowl, I guarantee they would have called that same play.
And
on paper, it's a great matchup.
Yeah,
right.
And when it works, it's great. We're excited, but scoring a touchdown on that play versus scoring a touchdown 3 plays later, that doesn't make a difference to me.
It's like a risk mitigation. I don't know if that's fully developed in Dan's brain. There's it
might not be.
When we were throwback for those that listened to when I went rock climbing, we were talking to Marissa's cousins, and there's a cool Netflix series out there called Free Solo about the guy that climbs mountains.
That's really good.
I want to watch it after rock climbing one time indoors on a safety harness just to compare. But this guy, they did studies of his brain. He climbs massive mountains with no safety. And he basically never developed a prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that assesses risk and has fear. And then I just think Dan does have that, but I think part of it's not fully clicking where I think when he hears that play call come in from Ben Johnson, both of them are it's going to work. It's worked all year. We want it in practice, but it's almost you need to have the risk mitigation of okay, what things could go wrong on a pass play in empty compared to what could go wrong handing the ball to Jahmyr Gibbs when he's averaged 20 yards per touch against the 30th ranked rush defense in the NFL.
Who's the quality control coach?
It's controlling. And again, objectively on paper, Amon-Ra St. Brown versus Bobby Wagner on a 5-yard out route when this man is a beautiful matchup. That's the matchup you hunt for. But I don't know. I don't know if I'm being hypocritical where it's just I'd rather just take the first down and live to see the next day. And again, as Pat McAfee likes to joke, situations are situational. And I think in this situation, against that rush defense, against what you've done on the first drive, I would have rather just ran the football.
It's also like
until they stopped it.
if you ran it on 3rd and 1 and you got stuffed, like you could then run that play again on 4th and 1. Like
Yeah, maybe that's when you catch them off guard. Maybe you flip the way you think about it.
And again, hindsight is 2020, so it's very easy to sit here and pick apart. We're not even discussing this if it doesn't happen the way it happens.
Correct. If they catch it and he's down to 5.
I mean, we probably send a text like, "Oh, I don't like that play call," but it worked. But yeah, we gotta mitigate some risk in the playoffs. I think a little bit, at least try.
Evan, what was your biggest moment for the loss? Could be the same thing. It's just curious. Don't feel like you have to pick a new one if it's the same.
I think there's another red one.
There is a big one. I mean, elephant in the room. The miscommunication with your 3rd, 4th, 5th string secondaries / linebackers. The 4th and 2 on the goal line. Having 12 men on the field. I'm not saying we're going to stop them on the 4th and 2, but obviously the chances are greater than the 1st and goal from the 1-yard line.
Yeah.
Then you have the glass half full or the other side of the people like, oh, we got to save on to the timeouts because we need them at the end of the game. Well, if you stop them there, it's a 14-point swing. It's a big old difference compared to having one timeout.
I learned about 2 new players on our team during the game that I didn't know existed.
Yep.
Maurice Norris, number 40, and Stanley Thomas Oliver, number 38.
So yeah, I still don't know who those people are.
Chalk that all up to that debacle.
He won't be on the roster next year.
That certainly hurt. That was the most reminiscent of earlier years of Lions football where we are doing the stupid things that we make fun of coaches.
Fat Andy Sandberg was screaming SOL after that.
That happens to good coaches. Ryan Day had the same thing happen in the Michigan game, and they just won a national title. So it doesn't mean your whole coaching staff is stupid. It just means they were overwhelmed in that moment. And unfortunately for us, unlike Ohio State, this loss ended our season where it didn't end theirs, and they couldn't learn from it. So that sucked. I don't know. In my head, I think I go back. I'm going to piggyback on Alex's of the 3rd and 1. I do think that sucked. I will say this, the way our defense, maybe that's just the more overarching biggest reason we lost is just because the defensive injuries were unsustainable at the very end of the day. Because I do think even if we go up 14-3, it's still a dogfight the rest of the game. Because I just would never expect us to get enough stops, but maybe we end up winning 41-38. In my mind, I've just been thinking of the plays that could have got us to 41-38. It's also the pick 6 that takes 7 points off the board, and it's the interception before the half that could probably lead to a field goal at least or a touchdown. So like let's say we get a field goal on that drive with Jared Goff at the end of the half, then we get to 34 points. Let's say we don't give them 7. Let's say we get 7 along the way, and then that's how you get to 41, take away 7 for them, 38. And that's what this game really had to be, because I do think then what I'm saying is the biggest reason for the loss is our defense was just knocked down to the bottom. And I don't know if this is like I was thinking. I think I talked to Alex on Sunday when we were driving back to the airport. I was like, as the whole crowd, including Cody and Evan and our friends, like, were they right during the San Francisco game? Was that the moment in the Monday night game that we didn't need to win? Where you're like, wow, this defense really is not going to be able to let us do anything. I think partially yes. I think partially no. I think the defense, Amik going down in the second play of the game changes your thoughts of the defense as well. But I thought the defense was like good enough to win the conference still. Like, I still think the defense was good enough to win this game if we played differently on offense. I don't know how Philly would have gone, but maybe they rise to the occasion. But I don't think it was ever good enough to win the Super Bowl if you ran into the Bills, the Ravens, and honestly, looking at how the Chiefs keep playing, like maybe even the Chiefs. So
Ravens? You think the Ravens were going to make it there? Come on, Brant.
If they did, I'm saying. I always thought that it could have won the conference, but ultimately the people that were starting to get panicked and then we got tricked. It just sucks that we got tricked by Sam Darnold. That's what happened.
Yeah, because he sucks.
He sucked. And then by back of my brain, I had dark thoughts when they lost to the Rams. I'm like, you know what? He might have just been completely spooked. Our defense still might be cooked. Jane Daniels is basically the NFC version of Lamar, but honestly more composed and better passing in the playoffs, we found out. And that's just a nightmare for us. And that's what happened. We got duped by Sam Darnold and pitching 9 points in what basically was a playoff game for us. That basically was a wild card type game for us. And it sucks. That was a long-winded rant. Let me ask this. Go ahead. No, if you have something off of it, go.
I think in hindsight, I would agree. Although the Eagles probably would have been more of an issue.
But especially the way the Commanders ran the ball. Sure, I'll give you that.
But I do think the defense, despite everything, pre-Amik injury, pre-Brian Branch injury, because didn't he not come back in either?
He came back. Noah Fonwu left, I believe, for good.
He came back in for one play and then left.
But I mean, when we had number 40 and number 38 playing back there,
STO baby, and Mono.
That's when it's like, well, okay. Yeah, I mean, you're dead. But if before that injury, I think they were plenty good enough to get to the NFC Championship game. But when you play your D-level game on both sides of the ball, you're not going to win anything. I don't care who you're playing. Could have lost to the Bears with what we saw on Saturday.
Yeah.
It's a bad time to play one of your worst games of the year, or the worst game of the year.
Oh, yeah. You couldn't have played a worse time. Maybe the Vikings game to not be the 1 seed, but this is probably as bad as you could pick. Obviously.
Carolina Panthers vibes when we were going for the playoffs 2 years ago.
Evan, I'll give it.
Never been so mad in his life.
No, that's probably the most he's ever been. The Panthers game
for Lions football. Yes.
Question for you, Evan. Maybe a little bit different than the biggest reason for the loss. This is more. We were all there in the crowd. I'm curious. We didn't talk about our exact panic meter when you're in the game. I think you just sit there and you hope something. You see a miracle. But looking back, what was your biggest oh shit moment when you were watching this game in person, where you felt it in your stomach, the knots turning oh God, I think we're done, or I think this is going to be a dogfight. Maybe it was earlier, maybe it was later. Just curious of all the different ones we've talked about.
I think it has to be Jane Daniels. We already touched on it. His moon ball drop into the bucket. Kirby Joseph late to rotate. That play, it just glorifies how well the Commanders' offense was playing, how well he was playing. That it's not good. After that, I think it was a third down when they convert that, third and long, third and medium,
2nd and 8 at our 45.
Okay, second down and they don't
Wasn't
get
that earlier. When was that?
I'm looking. It's in the second quarter, going before the half. 2nd and 8 at our 45 with 2:23 to go in the second. Deep right to D Brown to the 7 for 38 yards.
Yep. When he throws that, you kind of think of yourself, okay, just get to half, make adjustments, we'll be fine.
Yeah,
but then he
hold
does
him to a field goal, 27-21.
He does that right in front of your face, and you're kind of he's on something different, and I don't think there's any way we can stop it.
As he got drilled, too.
And it's not even like he threw it to Terry McLaurin. If Terry McLaurin comes down with that ball or makes a miraculous catch, you're well, that's just scary Terry. But when it's their second or third year wide receiver, you're kind of he's just on something different right now.
He threw it so well. I saw a still photo where Kirby Joseph had his hands over Brown's eyes as the ball landed. And it was one of those things where Diami Brown didn't even need to look the ball in. It was so perfectly placed. If he just cupped his hands in a basket, it was falling in it. That's definitely an oh shit one. Mine's a little different. Maybe just because I was so pathetic feeling of the defense. When Terry McLaurin cribbed that bubble screen for 50 yards, I was well, we're just never going to be able to stop this team if we're giving up that touchdown in a playoff game.
Grant, that was an oh shit moment. That is your college offense right there. Full swing, Cliff Kingsbury.
Staring down our team when I said that.
Masterclass of just outnumber the defense. Get them. They were kind of running a little bit no huddle there in the first half, getting
the whole game, I think.
Misaligned. And you line up in that formation. Okay, you line up in that formation again. We're fine, and then boom, when it hits and it's on, bubble screen out there to the left. Okay, and then they're going to run, I think, either a guard pull or both guard and tackle pull with a read option. And Jane Daniels just reads the defense. Where is there more defenders? Where do we have them out leveraged? And it was out wide. Credit to the wide receivers for blocking.
Mm-hmm.
Terry McLaurin's still that good.
Because if you think about the game flow, right, we have the fumble, but in your head as a fan, you can write that off. Okay, we gave them one. Whatever, they score, fine. We dug ourselves a grave. But then we answer with a 7-play, 70-yard drive in 3 minutes. We make it look easy like Ohio State last night. 14-10 Detroit. Okay. We're still in that first quarter. No. We're in the second quarter. We're all right, this is when we get a stop finally. We basically just gave them that 7 points after the fumble, yada, yada, yada. No. They 3 plays, 70 yards. They answer right back in a minute when we take the lead. And then you can pile on, I don't want to steal if it's Alex's, but the pick 6. And you're like, holy shit, we're down 10 now.
It's my turn.
Is that the one?
No.
Oh.
The Mikey S pick to end the half put me in full blown. Like,
Really?
Oh, yeah. Didn't lead the JMO in the end zone.
I mean, that was me like head down, standing, waiting during the entire halftime. I was like, oh my God, this is
that had to, I had to get out of there. I needed a water. I was like, I can't sit here.
I was feeling really, really bad at that.
You were not alone. Yeah, because we knew they were getting the ball to start the half, and we hadn't stopped them all night. So
we did, and then we scored.
Yeah, we were back.
But the halftime pick, because you were down 10. You needed points. We're like, I think you even said like field goal minimum, and then I see the route developing right in front of my face. I'm like, oh, he's open, and then he just didn't lead him, picked it off. And it was just a sinking, debilitating feeling that I don't want to keep talking about because it's depressing and it's making me sad.
Isn't that crazy for us? I know everyone keeps talking about the JMO thing, which should be talked about that pick, but like all the shit moments were already there. Like it already was like, oh God, we're in one. Yes.
Wait, I mean, sure, we could talk about that.
Well,
don't put the ball in your. All right, this is going to sound, but of all the players you could put the ball in the hands and allow them to throw a pass, JMO is not the guy. He's just not the guy for that.
I don't think that's unfair. And that goes back to the risk mitigation. When you think about the trick plays you have in your deep well, Ben Johnson, thinking about the one that puts the ball in JMO's hands where he has to make the decision of it's not run first. Like the reverse that worked for a touchdown, fine. He's thinking run. Yeah, fine. If they wanted to run another reverse with JMO the opposite way, the same play, I'm down with it because he's that electric. But when you add in the pass element and you have to tell him that he needs to run if it's not open, that's bad risk management. Like I told you guys, I said I'm not even mad at JMO for throwing it because I wouldn't expect him to ever tuck and run or throw it away. Why he's just going to throw the ball. That's JMO. He after he scored.
He's absolutely not the guy to put the ball.
Can he even throw? It wasn't even a great throw. Like, I don't know what it looks like in practice, but he's never thrown a pass before. Does he have some sick arm that we didn't know about?
There's just about like 25 other guys that I would rather have the ball in their hands than.
I know Amon-Ra can throw. He dropped a dime against the Seahawks to JG.
And I trust Amon-Ra to maybe tuck it and not throw it.
Khalif Raymond, tuck it. He would tuck it.
Yes, but JMO.
Tim Patrick. I don't know what Tim Patrick would do.
For all the great things he does, he's still immature and a child. It's clear by the 1,000 off the field incidents and everything else he's had going on. He's just not the guy to trust in that situation. And again, I don't know why we were pressing so hard at that point. All we had to do is just go down and score.
Give to Gibbs. Give the ball to Gibbs. You are down 3.
Coaches just overthink. We've said this since the start of the podcast, and that was a massive, like, what are we doing moment.
Flew too close to the sun for sure on that.
Maybe they were like, the oh shit had already sunk in for them as well, and they're like, I don't know what to do. Because the defense, like I've said, could not stop a nosebleed, so.
Yeah, to that point, I would call this the underrated part of the game that I think gets lost in the shuffle of all the disgusting moments was more of a soul-sucking kill. It did end with one of the oh shit moments, but after we score, after our stop to start the half, they go on a 15-play, 70-yard, almost 9-minute drive down our throats, including 2 fourth downs. One's the too many men, but the other one that's sneaky that our host Evan was basically calling out before the snap with the alignment that it was going to be a naked bootleg with Jane Daniels on 4th and 2, and Terry Arnold, God bless him, gets sucked in, thinking they're going to hand it off, and they get that. And like you just think we do that to teams. We go on 15-play 9-minute drives. They did that in our own house after we think we have momentum. The crowd was back in it in the third quarter there when we cut it to 3. And what does that rookie quarterback do? Leads a 15-play drive, and then that leads to us combusting with the interception, and then the game's after the JMO pick. Sure, you're like, if we get an onside kick, the game's over at that point. I mean, we gave it away. The win probability of Commanders probably was pretty steady after that pick by JMO. It's just we just completely peed down our leg. But that drive, that's a hell of a drive.
Are we done with this game?
No, I was going to ask.
I think people are sad, and this is just making it worse.
No, we have to get it all out. The game. Let's go happy then.
There is no happy, dude. We lost.
No.
I can't get happy about anything.
When you're in a game, though.
Yes, the JMO crib was great. We stood up yours? At the 50-yard line.
I was going to ask, what was your peak moment of being at the game?
Yeah, that had to be it.
That was mine.
I think I punched Evan in the chest.
I turned around and high-fived a guy that I didn't talk to the rest of the game during that. In the middle of the play. Double high five. I was
like a psycho when that happened.
Had no idea if there was flags or not. No idea if it was getting called back. Just fully assumed we were good. Evan, what was your peak? Was it that too?
Laporta's catch was sick.
I would probably say Laporta's catch.
That was a cool play. Scary play.
Yeah, that's the play call live.
That was when vibes were still high. That was when it's 14-10. You have nothing to worry about. You're not losing. We just took the lead.
That's a good point.
Yeah. 1st and goal from the 2. What do? Let's pass. Let's have Goff have to make a Patrick Mahomes little play, throwing it as he's falling down.
If he fumbles that and it slips out of his hand, it's like one of those plays again. Like, why are we doing that?
Yeah.
All right, we'll have a new OC next year. Who knows what they'll call?
Has anyone asked you? I gotta ask. People saying, how was the atmosphere at the game? What was your?
Asked.
No one. It was definitely
some people. They're like, "Oh, what about the Lions game?" And I always say the same thing. First one-liner always, "Oh yeah, I was there." And I'm like, "Oh, sorry."
I haven't seen anybody yet. Thank God.
It was definitely charged up, but I will say it was one of the more eerie scenes I've ever seen at a football game. One at halftime, I think after your death blow, your oh shit moment of that pick, people in the concourse just looked like they were dead.
And then you run out some schmub out there for the halftime performance.
Well, that's Theo in the Gridiron Band. He sings the fight song.
Shit, get off the field. It just thing's worse.
And then the crowd comes to life in the third quarter once we get to stop and score. And then I don't think I've been in a stadium that's in that high stakes. I was talking to a buddy at work. He said when he used to go to the big house for Michigan and Ohio State games, that would basically happen every time Ohio State would come in and beat us, where their fans just all trickle down to the front row in a pocket and they start getting loud. And then you see all the empty seats and it's just deadly quiet in there. It felt very surreal. Again, I've never experienced anything like that in that big of a game. You're just sitting there, the 4 of us, watching them go crazy across the way from us, and all of our fans just dead quiet. Seems like fans are coming down also to sit closer to us. I'm just like, this is insane just to be sitting here watching this unfold.
Yeah, I've seen it in reverse. Lions Chiefs, the opening game.
You took over.
Us, everybody going down and taking over. It's a great feeling. You just think you're on top of the world. And then in the Texans game too, everyone was chanting on the way out, singing the Lions fight song, just shoving it in Texans fans' faces. Yeah, it stinks when they do it to you. It's a really terrible feeling. Also, the crowd was great in the beginning, and then once everybody saw the Commanders were just going to score at will all game, it just got super eerie, nervous crowd the rest of the game, and people were very upset, obviously, saying a lot of ridiculous things.
Andy Samberg.
We talked about
idiotic things, and fans still on social media are saying idiotic things today.
Are not. Yeah. We don't know how to handle success as a fan base yet. We're still working on that. It's very obvious, very clear. Especially the Twitter stuff this week or the last couple of days have just been absurd. People are full blown convinced Ben Johnson was just not doing anything for us.
He's a spy. He's an NFC North spy, is what I read.
He wanted us to lose.
Inside job.
Whatever. All this crazy shit, and then people during the game SOL, screaming SOL, and blah, blah, blah. That, I think the Lions fans, we have a lot to learn. We got a
lot of growth.
The Lions aren't going anywhere. They're probably still going to be pretty good for a few more years. As a fan base, we got to be better. Teams lose. You lose in the playoffs. Every team but one.
Facts. That's a fact. It's a stone cold fact. On the point of the atmosphere, I watched the post game stuff just to see the devastation from our players and coach. I can't imagine being that high level competitor and you're sitting in your home locker room listening to them celebrate in the away locker room. You could hear it in the interviews. That would drive me insane. Because you think about last year, you lose at San Fran. you're the underdog. You go into their building, they pop the confetti, and you have to watch that. That's one thing that you can probably, flush away a little differently. The fact that you were home, 1 seed, you lose, and then you're just sitting there in a dead silent locker room and you hear them screaming for hours after the game as you're trying to answer questions from local reporters. Imagine that, Evan. Imagine comes up to your face and you can hear the commanders screaming in the other locker room. That has got to be even more motivation, fueling the fire and depression, because it hurt me listening to it. And I was like, I cannot imagine being,
you're a
Penei
sicko
Sewell.
in the first place for listening to the interviews.
Yeah, I got to feel it the way they feel it. It's, we did
no,
dance.
You don't have to.
We did dance. It was, Panay's got me bad. I wrote a note about that. I listened to Panay during locker cleanout day. He just looked so despondent. Like, he just kept saying, yeah, I don't know. I don't have a good answer for that. And they would just go to the next question. And then he did defend Jared Goff, said people getting mad at him is bullshit, but he doesn't go on social media, so he's not sure exactly what's being said. I was like, it's just tough to listen to Panay talk because that probably kills him inside. They lost that game.
You saw Amon-Ra texted Dan Campbell at 4 a.m.
Did see that. Amon-Ra was like, you could tell he had just got done crying in his locker room interview. And they were all sweating. I think, imagine you just got to have a shower too, and you haven't fully dried off, so you can see the sweat on their foreheads probably because they didn't get the shower didn't stick the way it should, and then you have 5 reporters in your face asking you about it. It's like, that's just a tough business. And not to go big picture, but it is just so crazy their line of work. There's only a few of those lines of work in the world where you can do all this work for months, and then you're solely just judged on 60 minutes. For your entire, I was thinking about my job and other people's jobs. It's crazy. I mean, maybe surgeons as doctors are like that. You can do all the prep, but until you're in the room, you're judged on that. But football is so high stakes like that in sports where you have 17.
Why I get paid millions?
Yeah, I guess that's what people say. That's why they get paid the big bucks. But that just sucks as a human.
They're still humans. I want to make sure people know I'm not. I feel bad for the players of any team when they lose. And then the immediate reaction is, oh, you went 15-3 this season, but you guys suck because you lost the divisional to the Commanders.
You're losers.
That's losers.
It's got to be the worst feeling. That's why I said after the game, I was like, how many playoff losses do you have to endure before you're like, man, do I even want to go through this shit again? I don't know. What if it doesn't end in a Super Bowl win again, and then boom, you just do this shit of every year you lose in the playoffs. I'm imagining if you're a good team, you get upset in the playoffs. You then go through what will be the worst day of your life for that moment until you lose again next year. Then that'll probably be the worst day of your life.
The Ravens,
non-death
Bills,
yeah, Ravens, Bills, lose. If the Bills lose to the Chiefs again on Sunday, I mean, I just what is Josh Allen going to do? He's just not going to be excited to be coming back. There's just no way.
Yeah, their fans. And then think about the 4 Super Bowls crazy. That they had in the 90s.
Are crazy.
That's a crazy fan base to be a part of.
The stakes are just high.
Couple smaller notes. They're just infuriating. I think we can all agree on. Maybe stop taking kickoffs out of the end zone if it's not working the first few times.
All game.
You could record Alex. You could record Alex every time that Craig Reynolds caught the ball and then started running.
Why are you coming out? Why are you coming out again?
Starting the drive at the 20 after a big hit.
And just getting clocked.
Their defense would get fired up.
Doing?
Yeah.
God damn, dude, that pissed me off so bad.
Another thing that Evan was on all night, we can talk about schemes and X's and O's all you want, but a Jim Harbaugh quote that always rings true to me is it's just about blocking and tackling. And as you said, Evan, multiple times, our tackling was just atrocious. As we were watching it,
bad.
We just couldn't tackle in the open field ever, it felt like.
We couldn't tackle Austin Eckler's old ass in open field.
No.
Not even close. We were just whiffing.
No. Bad. And then another one, again, this was only through my second quarter rewatch, but one play that stands out to me too that you just will never think of. But after we go up 7-0, they're driving, they're at their own 45 trying to cross the 50. It's 3rd and 10, right? 3rd and 10. We get absolutely zero lick of pressure on them, and they complete a 13-yard cushion route curl to Jamison Crowder. And I'm just sitting there looking back on the rewatch Evan and I had bets about Jamison Crowder fantasy stats 5 years ago, and he couldn't even hit those. And we're getting dusted for 13 yards in the divisional game. So it's just we just didn't deserve to win the football game when you look back and see all the different what-if plays where you're giving up 3rd and 10 to him on a curl route because you're sagging off 14 yards. It's just insane.
I think another thing in the moment, shout out Grant for the great seats. We were very close to the Lions sideline, so we could see, whatever you wanted to see. the sideline in like the mid third or whenever they went back up 10, you just look at the sideline, everybody just looked like we are like it just would look like so much nervous energy and everyone's panicked. You're like, oh man, this team is spiraling internally. Coaches look like panicked. The entire game, Evan and I noticed the linebackers coach, Kelvin Shepard, screaming at the linebackers every single play, trying to get them where they need to be, and they're just never in the right spots. Ever. Every single play. He's screaming every single play. I'm like, if he's doing that much, it can't be good for us. They must be doing something wrong.
I think he's also in charge of substitutions, of getting people lined up front seven. Typically, he is the linebackers coach too, but I think he's like the one that signals in everything, like Glenn calls it. So him just going berserk just about every single play was not easy on the eyes, as it was, like Alex said, it was happening right in front of us.
And then right before the play would snap, he would just turn around and just like just in disgust before the play would even happen. So I was like, oh, this is not going to be good. And we get gashed up the middle for 15 yards.
What was I going to say?
Our new defensive coordinator. Crazy.
Well, I don't know about that. And that, to your point about the looks on the faces in the third quarter, Alex, I never would have thought I would have accused this team of this, but do you think based on that there was any sense in the locker room during the week that they didn't expect this to be a fight? Not calling them like cocky or arrogant, but like,
yes, I think it was like fully clear they had no thoughts. Like they were not thinking they could lose this game at all. Which is
it's hard. It hurts. That hurts.
It's like Dan's comment where he was like, "Yeah, you've been eating caviar all year," and then they lost a game or whatever, and then they got back to their ways. They went right back to the caviar eating after the Vikings game, and I just don't think they thought they would lose this game.
Which is nuts, and I do think that's a big learning lesson for a lot of our fan base. Not trying to. Alex hates when I mention Michigan at all if we're not talking about them, but I say that I may have viewed this game a little bit differently than some people in the fan base at large, like just big picture wise, just talking to people throughout the week, thinking, oh, like not going to be that big of a deal. They're the 6th seed, but like I made that mistake once in my life, and I told myself I'd never do it again. It was Michigan versus TCU in the Fiesta Bowl. I bought into the fact that we beat Ohio State on the road. We smoked the Big Ten, whatever, West charity case, and now we're like, good. This is TCU. They're a plucky Big 12 team, and we got absolutely punked in a very similar game in a very similar way where we shot ourselves in the foot. They played aggressive. They won the game. We had stupid trick plays. We had a Statue of Liberty play. JMO threw a pick. It's very crazy how they parallel. And I told myself I would never take a team for granted again. And so that's why in this head going into the week, I already thought that it's going to be a dogfight. Like, I think J.J. Daniels is solid. In the playoffs, it's just about winning by 1 point, not be like, are we going to cover the spread? Are we going to beat this team by 14 points? Like, why don't we just like win the game by a point and move on to the conference title game? So I think that's a good lesson for the fan base to learn, but that sucks if that's how they felt, because I remember the Michigan team that week, JJ McCarthy saying, if we play a 3-3-5 defense, we're going to smash them. Junior Colston not even knowing pretending to not know what conference TCU was from. I just hope none of that was in our minds throughout the week about this is just Washington. We'll see who we play in the title game.
There is something about like being a team playing with house money. No one thinks you're going to win. You're like massive underdogs. Those teams always just have a massive chip on their shoulder. They have nothing to lose. They're going to come out swinging. It's like the Lions-Niners last year in the NFC Championship game. That was us. We were the Commanders in that scenario. And the first half, we looked like the greatest team ever. Obviously, San Francisco, who has been in those games 1,000 times, 19 times to be specifically that franchise, I think, in the NFC Championship game.
Yeah.
They've been there, and they knew what to do in the second half to win the game. We look like a team Saturday that got hit in the mouth, and we're like, oh, shit. Like, what are we going to do? Like, how do we win in the playoffs? We don't know.
I kept thinking, hopeful-wise, that we were going to be the Niners and come back. And be like, all right, now we avenged the circle where we can come back. They're like, we're not there yet.
Then I looked at the sideline in the fourth quarter. I'm like, no, there's no.
Let's dive into the toxic world of some social media things just to ask you guys questions, to either agree with them or dispel them. I'll start with you, Evan. Do you think this means our window is now closed, as some people have alluded to online?
I was going to ask you guys that same question. Kind of the same similar question. I don't think our window is closed. I think everybody has a big window until something dramatic happens. but you could argue that we pissed down our 2 best chances to get to the Super Bowl.
So far, for sure. Yeah, I mean, we'd have to check back in 5 years to see if those
Correct.
were. We don't. That's the scary part. That's
Our
why
window
it
isn't
sucks.
close. I've said like the last 2 years. I think our window is 4 to 5 years. Now we've already wasted 2 of the years, so I give it 3 more years that our window is open, fully intact, superstars on the roster. So we got 3 more years.
One thing that's scary is that the Barry Sanders team that went to the NFC Championship game,
Mm-hmm.
after, because I think that was only like his 3rd or 4th year. He was still pretty new. After that game, everyone's like, oh, like the Lions are here to stay. They'll be back. And then they just went into like the playoff purgatory where they make the playoffs every year and lose a game, like lose immediately. So that's a little scary to think like that could happen. But no, the window is not closed. It's not closed as long as Dan and Brad are here. And I guess Goff.
And QB. That's the scary part with our team, and I'm not saying it's the wrong way to do it. It's what we have. Is where like I always think of the cocky quote, which I do kind of agree with, where like when they asked Joe Burrow after they lost to the Chiefs in the championship game or whatever, they were like, do you think the window's closed? And he said, their GM said, as long as we have Joe Burrow, the window's open, which I think there are like X amount of quarterbacks in the league where you can say that. I don't think Jared Goff is that. It's like
No, he's not that.
window is open if you have a competent quarterback with a great roster. Like, again, we've always compared ourselves to the Niners, I feel like, the last few years. And obviously they missed the playoffs this year. So I think their window is still open because they could have a nice bounce back year next year. So I think ours is still open. It definitely becomes tighter, but also like it's still cracked open because the biggest boost you're going to get next year is just a bunch of people getting healthy that you needed to play this year that were hurt. And like Alex said, as long as you still believe in your coach and your GM to draft good talent, then hypothetically you should keep extending it. It's just going to get nitpicky, especially after next year. I've been hearing, again, not to look too far, that's when a bunch of contracts are going to get dicey. You got to pay Hutchinson. You're going to have to start,
Kirby.
like, you might have to make a tough choice between if you really want Brian Branch, or are you going to pay Kirby Joseph? I don't know. Like, that's the type of decisions we're talking about in a next offseason, which would suck.
I think if you have
the
a
cap's
good
not
front
real,
office,
so
you have a good front
cap
office
is
and a
not
good
real.
GM, your window can be open for like 12 years. Like the Eagles, their windows are never closed. They're always good. The
Ours
Niners,
is
always good.
open. Ours would reset if depending on the QB, right? I do think like we're gonna have enough that core of talent. So with Goff, I think we're fine. But like at some point, as every team does, you have to find a new QB, and that's when your window starts to get dicey.
It might close for a year, but like again, we know our GM can build a roster full of talent very fast through the draft. So I don't think we need to worry about like complete regression. I think we'll be right there again next year. Should be better next year. The defense doesn't get 77,000 injuries. We're probably better. Like what's changing?
I do think that a Meek injury in the game really hurt too, because that's something you can't game plan for. You can't try to get cute. They just had to react on the fly 2 plays into the game. That the guy that was the Justin Jefferson stopper, who they probably wanted to like shadow Terry McLaurin throughout the night, just smash his elbow.
And that guy's supposed to be our third corner.
Yeah. Crazy. Do you guys want to move on from Jared Goff?
No.
Internet questions.
For who?
I know, but we just have to address it because there are a lot of idiots out there. There's like
quarterback class this year for one is dog shit.
Ass.
Yeah.
Okay, give me a better option. Give me a better free agent or somebody that we can move on with is a better option. Give me
a bunch of worse
JJ
Jared
McCarthy.
No, that's chronic.
Give Hendon Hooker the reins. Hendon Hooker's isn't good enough to beat out Teddy Bridgewater.
Yeah, that is a big storyline from this game.
We're not
That
talking
isn't the day to be talked
that's
about.
An
But
off-season.
that is crazy.
I think everyone's bitching that Goff's getting paid $55 million a year and all this shit. Dude, again, find me a better available quarterback right now. And I mean, he just had an MVP level season and then had a bad playoff game.
His only bad playoff game through 4. He played pretty sick in the last 3. And he played good pretty good overall, I would say, against the Vikings. He did have one bad pick. No, I'm getting the games confused. But 3 playoff games, he played great last year. This one, not so good. He played awesome in that first Rams game. And that's where the chance and everything. It's just like, but if he does it again, then we can talk about it. But like, he gets a mulligan. I know it's not golf, but like, yeah, he had a Houston Texans level game We just got lucky and won that one.
Also,
he had it again.
Fun fact, in person this year, I saw Jared Goff throw 8 interceptions.
Holy shit.
Bad luck.
2 games, 8 picks.
You're his biggest fan, but you could bring him the worst
Think
luck.
about this.
That's a quote graphic for sure.
I sold that Jared Goff jersey in Arrowhead after that game, or like middle of that game. And then since then, the 2 times I see Jared Goff in person, 8 interceptions.
I don't believe in jinxes, but that
I don't
is
either,
unfortunate
but
timing.
it is lining up very poorly.
Wow.
No, I don't want a new quarterback.
No, and again,
he's not regressing at all.
I feel better talking. This is the sport fan brain. I feel better talking shit about our play calling now that our OC is the head coach of a division rival. But we know it's not. This was so frustrating about the way we played. And again, it's partially because we were playing catch up with the Commanders at some point. But we know how this team loses games. This team loses games when Goff throws like 40 or more times in a game. That's never been the identity of our football team. And the fact that we went out in the divisional round with him throwing over 40 times and could only get our sweet Prince Gibbs 14 carries and X amount of catches is like we just abandoned everything we were good at. And even again, pissing me off, I got to be careful because I do love David Montgomery, but I think everyone can look themselves in the face and be like, if his knee was a little banged up, why is he starting the game like it's senior night? And he was, like we're just being nice to give him the start. First drive of the game, I want your best scripted. Everyone talks about the script. Best scripted plays, Ben Johnson. There's no chance you could look yourself in the mirror and say David Montgomery is our best script when we have Jahmyr Gibbs scoring 7-8 touchdowns the last 3 games and carrying us to this point because he stepped up in his eyes and was a workhorse. There's just no way. And again, the second play of the game, we missed a block and Dante Fowler cleaned him. That would have happened to Gibbs too. But like the first play of the game, like maybe Gibbs bounces that and whatever. It's like, I don't understand.
3 and out with 2 carries to David Montgomery to start the game.
That's where it feels cocky. That feels like arrogant Ben. Like I can just trot out David Montgomery and I'll still get first downs.
And I get like David Montgomery's like heart and soul of the team. Yeah.
Again,
whatever.
Correct.
But Jahmyr Gibbs is generational.
Yeah. Again, David Montgomery shouldn't even, I don't know. Well, he seemed okay, but like he almost was season ending after the Bills game. We had no idea. He'd get 3 opinions on his knee. Maybe just ride the kid that has like 150 all-purpose yards every game and multiple touchdowns the last 3 weeks.
Jahmyr does things I've never seen. Things that David Montgomery
I wasn't alive for Barry Sanders, but I'm again going back to that point. I'm feeling things that I imagine our dads felt watching Barry Sanders.
There was one play like late in the game where it didn't matter that he like jump cut.
His catch.
We all oohed and awed,
like,
I think.
At the end of our last drive.
Worth the price of the ticket just to watch him make people miss. Yeah.
He made 175 yards in this game.
Yeah, you can't get him enough touches. You could not run
he
enough.
He had 20 touches, 175 yards.
Instead of that JMO trick play bullshit, maybe just run a Gibbs Texas route. I don't know. Just do that down the field against Bobby Wagner.
It always works.
I have never seen it not work when thrown.
Another reason why we should not feel bad about next year. We still have Jahmyr Gibbs in only year 3.
Correct. We have a lot of talent. It's just
tons.
Obviously
we're loaded with talent. Loaded.
Let's see. Was there any other questions I had about this game?
You were on the Twitter topic, I believe.
I do have one dark thought. It kind of plays off what we were talking about earlier, where Evan said blowing our 2 best chances at the Super Bowl because we don't know the future yet. I don't know how people feel. I think in the moment after the game, I would have told you this loss hurt more than last year. But now that I've matured and 48 hours have passed, this makes the conference title loss 10 times worse because I'm realizing how hard it even is to get to that game and to be a 17-point lead at halftime of that game. And we didn't know what we didn't know. We're basically virgins to the playoffs last year. Like, oh, we just make the title game.
Just walked right into the title.
Next year, we're easily going to the Super Bowl. When you lose like this is more embarrassing than the last year. But last year hurts worse now, thinking that, like, holy shit, we could have been in the Super Bowl. And then you never know what happens in that game. Because now you see how hard it is to get back there. And Dan tried to tell us after the press conference last year.
That might have been our best chance ever.
And he was not lying.
Yeah, that one hurt way more. I laid on my living room floor for 2 hours.
And it hurts worse now. That's the shitty part about playoff losses.
Well, we sat in traffic for 2 hours, Alex, so which one is worse?
I will never forget the Lions-Niners loss. I mean, that was like one of the worst losses in my life of anything. That's way up there.
Yeah, this ranks below that.
Second worst loss of my life.
Iowa. Basketball.
Regular season basketball. No, Syracuse. Tournament game. Alex.
Oh,
Well, Middle Tennessee. Yeah, I watched that.
similar game where you guys were favorites. Plucky.
No, I don't know.
Plucky
Lions
team.
Niners is like that. That could be number one for me of all time. It was horrible.
Yeah, I
I
guess
don't
I
even
have
want
to
to think
rank
about
this.
it. Thanks for bringing up a great topic.
I have to rank this one 1A, 1B with that Michigan TCU and this because they're identical in my brain. Maybe we'll win the Super Bowl next year. Like I told you guys, my one piece of hope. I don't know. I don't think
If
it
in
works that
10
way.
years, if in 10 years we found out that Niners one was the closest we're ever going to get,
Oh my God,
boy,
it'll
Be a
easily
rough-
be the worst
it'll be a
loss.
rough decade.
That's the demented part about these playoffs. Like I said,
It could happen
it
like
can
that.
get worse and worse. Losses in your mind as you get farther away. You realize how shitty it was. It's not like the 1991 one with the Commanders where we got blown out with our dads. You know, they're like, all right, we just weren't the best team that day.
But
We're
again,
like,
they thought that that was going to start the run of the Lions being good.
just like us.
And they never got back. Ever. Until
Different
our
family
dads
in
are now
charge.
55.
Yes, feel bad for them. Feel bad for the older people in your life.
But part of us knew, like week 8, when the defense was just getting destroyed every week, slowly, one by one, everyone's getting taken out. We knew that this was a possibility. We just did not want to accept it.
Yep. Lesson learned for going forward is that
Gotta have a
remember the
defense.
moments. You gotta have
to
defense. Remember the moments. Just because you store the most points in the league doesn't mean you're guaranteed anything. We looked at the chart where all those teams lost at some point in the playoffs and didn't make the Super Bowl. So weird
Max
thing in this league.
Crosby, Aiden Hutchinson,
Oh,
make that happen. Get some corners, get some linebackers, get an entire new defense.
wow. Let's see if I have any other
Ben Johnson's a bear.
points. This is a confusing stat that I read to Alex Evan from Dave Burkett. He tweeted out, no NFC team that has lost in the conference championship game has gone on to win the Super Bowl since the Green Bay Packers in 1995. So that was us going into this year. And then before last year's 49ers team, no NFC team that lost in the previous year's conference title game even advanced to the Super Bowl since San Francisco did it in 2011. So I think that's us being naive and not knowing stats like that. It's kind of hard to lose in the conference title game and get back to that point based on his tweet.
Evan's locked into TGL.
He's got a lot going on up there.
Just
I see JT drill the bomb.
the playoffs. You're so far behind.
I just saw him on Twitter.
Like
Another
Grant said,
crazy-
it's the 60 minutes. You never know what can happen in 60 minutes.
No, you do not.
And those
Another
players-
crazy stat.
Their players outperformed our players.
That's true. That is one like not comforting, but like it doesn't feel like I said, the better team that day definitely won. It wasn't fluky. We just played like shit. Everyone did at times. But I will say, tweet
It's
from
funny
Jeremy
times.
Reisman, beat reporter, the Lions offense, for as much as people got mad at them, 7.7 yards per play, which was the best of any team in the divisional round. So it just kind of speaks to the roller coaster where there was the highest of highs with the offense humming and then the lowest of lows with like really, really bad plays. You got a text, Alex?
No.
Funny.
I'm just ready to move on.
Oh.
Wilkins' text about Mel Tucker being the Lions DC was hilarious.
Oh, like as a candidate?
It's an incredible Photoshop job.
AI.
Well, it's incredible. I mean, it looks real.
Sometimes you have to go back to move forward. Here's an interesting one from Jay Kuda,
I
Michigan
saw
State
this
grad.
one. Jay Kuda's a good guy.
I love how simple his graphics are. They're so
Yeah,
easy to
they're
understand. So most yards does not necessarily matter in playoff football.
They all lost.
Turnovers and red zone conversions matter a lot.
Remember this for next year.
Yes.
You asked us in the divisional wild card round.
Don't tell me how many yards. The one stat, though, obviously the turnovers. If you told either of us before the game, hey, you're going to have 5 turnovers a day, I would tell you we're losing. So you
Yes.
really just point blank cut it out right there.
If you would have told me before the game that JMO is going to throw an interception, I would have spit out my beer. What are you doing?
That old shillelagh would have been a mess on the table. All right, quickly, divisional round, the rest of the weekend from what we got to see. I did not really see much of the Chiefs-Texans game other than the officials apparently sucked pretty bad.
That's what everyone will say.
It's
about
the
it.
NFL product. What do you expect?
But at the same time, I didn't watch close enough to know if that really changed the entire game. I would just assume the Chiefs probably still made enough big time plays to deserve. But yeah, Mahomes got to chill with the flopping as he goes to the sideline thing. That's not a great look for the league. Let's clean that up.
Yeah. Rams, Eagles. Saquon's good at football. I'm giving you the recap. He's pretty good.
Yeah,
and then
200 yards.
Bills, Ravens. Mark Andrews, bad day. Shouldn't take away from all of his accomplishments during his career, though. A really bad day.
He's a roster.
Talk about a guy that
roster
will feel
in the
that, worst day of your life. Mark Andrews, that he wins that award for this round.
Not the award you want to win.
No. Lamar defended him, though.
Another tip in the cap, feather in the cap for Evan's anti-Lamar agenda.
3-5.
They fell again. I don't think the Bills played particularly amazing, but this is an interesting tweet that I would like to call out. I'm not saying it's going to work out like this at all, but I like when people contextualize things. This is interesting. You guys probably can't see that, can you?
Oh, yeah, I'm all over. I can see it.
Again, I'm not saying it means Lamar is going to the Super Bowl. I just guess was too young to realize Peyton Manning struggles in the playoffs in his first 7 years.
9 years. Holy,
I mean,
I feel
always
worse
had to
about
face
the Lions.
the Patriots every single year.
Yeah, same with the Chiefs and Bills, I guess.
Makes me feel worse about how long it might take the Lions to get to the Super Bowl.
True. This is good perspective when people overreact to quarterbacks losing. I thought because I didn't.
People overreacting? No way.
Yeah, never happened.
Do you know Jared Goff's playoff record?
No.
Yes.
2-2 with us.
10 games.
10 games. So
he's won more than he's lost because he made it to the Super Bowl with the Rams.
10 games.
4. No,
Grant?
he's gotta be 5-5.
Grant.
Well, counting the one where he had a broken thumb against the Seahawks against them.
Yes.
That hurts.
Right?
No, they played the other guy.
John
if he
Wolford.
didn't start, then no. This starts. 10
Rams won that game though.
7-3.
Jesus, Grant.
Go, Grant.
He's been to the playoffs 5 times.
And he doesn't have a Super
5-5.
Bowl, so he has 5-5. Let's say yes.
What are his 5 losses then? 2 with us. 1 in the Super Bowl.
Patriots, there's 3. 2 more. He lost.
I mean, Grant, if it didn't end in winning the Super Bowl, he lost the game.
I know. I'm just trying to think. I think they're probably counting the one where he broke his thumb in that stat.
I think so too. So
I
Seahawks win or Rams win that game?
Seahawks won.
Oh,
wait.
The Rams won.
I don't know.
I think that was the regular season game.
I don't know enough about Rams playoff history. Spare me. He's a lion.
He lost to the Falcons in the wild card. First playoff game ever.
Happens.
He beat the Cowboys in the divisional, beat the Saints in the NFC Championship, lost to the Patriots, beat Seattle in the wild card, so they did give him that. That was a win. That was the Wolford game.
Lost to Green Bay.
Lost at Green Bay.
Oh.
Which he played pretty well.
Aaron Donald game.
And then lost Niners, lost Commanders.
Wow, so he's 0-2 versus Dan Quinn in the playoffs. Wamp wamp. Because I think Dan Quinn was, head coach of the 2017 Falcons. Full circle. Well, all I know is his numbers being retired as a Lion, not a Ram. So sorry, I didn't know Rams playoff history with him.
Well, he's played
and that
more.
Means he's got to win. That means he's got to win a couple Super Bowls for us.
Than he has with the Lions. 6-4.
Okay.
It's only 30, dude. He's got lots of time to make lots more playoff games.
Another blueprint for needing the defense, divisional round wrap up. None of the winning teams needed to score 30 points to win the game. So I think that's just another thing for Lions fans to focus on next year with the defense. We shouldn't have to win 35, 31 points to win a playoff game. 31 should be enough in most games. So that's just, again, biggest reason for the loss. We were the only higher seed to lose in the divisional round, which I think makes it sting even worse that everyone else took care of business as the higher seed, except for us.
It's 1-2-1-2-6.
Yep. Should have been 1-2 across the board.
1-2-1-2, but nope. That's another thing. Could have had popped up Sunday after the Bills Chiefs. That's again was one of those moments where you scream at the wall.
Those Fox graphics that they do with the cartoon characters. I was picturing Gibbs on one side, Saquon on the other, battle of 26s for running back supremacy and to go to the Super Bowl. And instead, it's Jane Daniels versus Jalen Hurts as the storyline of the game.
Okay.
Sucks.
I'm ready to move on. I'm ready to move on.
Ben Johnson is now a Bear. should we hate him? Online, dude.
No,
I don't hate him as a person, but
I
like
hate
when
the
we play him,
freaking
I
Lions
want to beat
fans
him.
that are saying he's a
I hope it doesn't
scumbag,
work.
he's a traitor, all this bullshit.
He went to a
that's why he
division
played.
rival.
That's why he didn't have enough time for the game, even though he
Yes.
interviewed last year. All these people
are
yeah.
uneducated.
He was calling Dennis Allen mid-second quarter.
Yes,
That's
he was. I
why.
saw it on the sideline.
He actually, he didn't even know that he called the JMO play because he was on the phone with his Bears.
J-Mo called it himself.
We do not
Give me the
hate
ball.
Ben Johnson, but we do want to beat him twice a year every year.
Yes.
I can't wish him well. I can't do it because he's in our
Like
division.
I want the Bears to be bad.
I would
and
like
that'd
him
be
to be our
because
offensive
of
coordinator in 3 years after it goes poorly there.
One of my friends
home.
here said he'll be back in 18 months.
18 months?
That much dysfunction.
Bears are a tough organization right now, Evan.
Not really.
Yes, really. They have
What's
a
so
terrible
tough
front
about it?
office and terrible owner. That's why they suck.
They have a terrible owner. That's why they're getting a brand new stadium.
Yes.
I'm just curious what it looks like on
A lot of
draft day
dysfunction.
if Ben Johnson says he really wants a guy for his offense and their GM, Brian Pohl, says, no, I'm doing this. Like, how does
Agreed.
that conversation go?
Well, I
Because
think there's glaring needs that I don't think they could argue what the position of need would be on
The
draft
only
day.
thing they're taking
Hopefully
is
true.
offensive line.
The thing is that they don't really have too much fixes on the offense besides, okay, could they get a new running back? Yeah, but not needed.
O-line.
Offensive line,
Ben Johnson he didn't get rid of Swift, but he was there when we got rid of
1,000%.
Swift.
offensive
fine.
line, and then defense, you just need more athletes on defense. They don't have a bad roster. They just need better.
He probably does want some superstar Gibbs style running back.
The biggest thing will be what he does. I'm very curious to see the offense with Williams and Goff, because the biggest thing about Ben Johnson, which again, this is to drive home points of why people need to stop getting up his ass. I understand I'm not mad at people for being annoyed that he's going to the Bears. I totally get that. I am annoyed at people at the timing, being weird about the timing. Like, that's just how the NFL works. If you've watched the NFL for any
Well,
amount
not
of time.
Cliff Kingsbury.
Yeah. He's a unique cat, though.
Cliff said, I'm not taking any until we lose.
He's also a different stage of his life. He was a head coach. He's been there, done that.
Cliff
It's
already
different.
Cliff got interviewed for the Bears OC job last year, and they turned it down. They gave it to the other dude that they fired.
Let's get Cliff in as OC. Just
He's
take
not
him
gonna
from the Commanders. Let's pay him
believe.
more.
No. That doesn't really happen in the NFL.
Well, I would like it to.
If we think about it, we owe a lot to Ben Johnson. We had Anthony Lynn, had to get rid of him at the beginning of Dan's tenure, and then Dan decided to call the offense in a tie game in Pittsburgh, and then we slowly started
We're
to see
playing for overtime.
our offense come to life with Ben. And I think the biggest thing you get about Ben when you listen to even Jared Goff talk about him is how Ben and Goff became like the same brain when it came to the offense, and like wanting to do what was good for Jared and taking a lot of concepts from Sean McVay, but also giving him the freedom to check at the line and all this stuff. Like, that doesn't happen without Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson, I think probably his biggest quality from what I've read is not coming in and making anyone feel like a robot to run his system. He basically was like a collaborative effort where it's like, I want your input, Jared, of what you're good at, what checks you want to make at the line, getting trick plays from his assistants. And, you know, that's what I think he'll do with Caleb Williams. He's not going to go in there and try to just copy and paste our offense onto them. He's going to see what Caleb likes to do. So you just hope, as Dan said, he's going to have Jared have some discussions and some say in who the OC is. And I also like, he said Dan wants to still be involved to make sure like all the terminology for the most part stays the same for everyone, which I like, which makes me think it's going to be an internal promotion if you're going that extreme of keeping it. So
Let's be honest. Jared Goff's going to have his hands all over who the next person's going to be.
Well, he said he is.
yeah, which is good. That's what you
Confirmed.
want. You want that.
It's going to be Scotty Montgomery or the Tanner kid. It's going to be one of them.
Which I'm okay with.
I'm fine with.
Defense, I would go outside. We'll get to that if we get to that. We don't know
Defense,
if that's happening
I would
yet.
go outside as well.
Bob Saleh. But again, jumping the gun, Grant.
Depends on how many people leave our staff.
That's what I'm worried about.
We
in
need
terms of
Hank
Ben.
Fraley to stay.
Frank Rhino-
interview with
Seattle.
Seahawks.
Seattle.
They have interviewed a couple of people twice, so that gave me a little hope. But Frank Rhino looked at reporters in the eye after the game.
Said he would
And lock and clean out.
sabotage it.
He also said, I cannot envision myself playing in the NFL without Hank Fraley, which, like, I don't know if that's one of those, like, trying to joke, like the magnitude, or if that's like a dead ass.
He also said he would sabotage the interviews and make sure they don't hire him. So
And they also said he's not leaving. Like he just Panay will deadpan, looked in the camera and said, yeah, Frank's not allowed to leave. Or Hank, sorry. Hank's not allowed to
Fraley.
leave. Frank Ragnow. Yeah, confusing. But I'm scared.
But it's still going to be really good without Hank Fraley. So.
It would be pretty easy for those two, Frank and for Panay, to go up to the front office and say, you better pay this guy.
You pay him whatever that takes. Yeah, if those two guys walked in, I think they would go, okay.
We got a little bit more money from Ben Johnson leaving, so let's allocate those funds to different places.
You guys see we get a third-round pick if Aaron Glenn takes a head coaching job?
Correct.
Yeah.
Compensation.
That would be really nice. We don't have a third-round pick.
No, we do not.
Maybe we find another Hendon Hooker.
Alex, did you guys see David Montgomery's meme about Ben Johnson going to the Bears?
No.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny that he posted this on his own Instagram. It's one of those things I don't really know. We know David Montgomery does not like the Bears from his time there, so I don't think I'm guessing he doesn't actually have ill will towards Ben, but it was just a funny thing in the moment.
He has ill will towards Ben.
You actually went there.
I mean, did you guys see what Amon-Ra said like 3 weeks ago about Ben Johnson potentially leaving?
No, I don't think so.
He wasn't worried about it. Now, he's a cocky dude, but he said at the end of the day, us players are the ones that are playing.
Players play. As Alex
I saw one tweet. It was like, as long as Jameer Gibbs is running the football, it doesn't matter who the OC is.
Just run halfback dive and let him cook.
Yeah. I mean, you could run QB power if you find the right guy for Evan.
That long run that Gibbs had.
Second drive of the game.
So disgusting. I think one of someone that covers football posted the end zone cam of it. See if I can find it here. Let's test this new laptop of mine, see if it doesn't lag when I try to play this clip. But Decker just gets absolutely cooked here. Gibbs shakes him and then still finds the cutback lane for like 50 yards.
Oh boy, Decker.
Well, he's the best.
I mean, if you like freeze frame this, like missing that, and then
going right back,
looking that wall, and then
Decker
like,
looking lost.
I'm gonna run right back through Decker, get out of my way, and I'm gonna go for 50 yards.
Who's number 11
on our team?
No.
Oh,
for them. 11's Cleve Raymond. Well, I mean, look at the safety's poor ass angle.
Well, it's hard to have good angles.
Evan, how do you tackle Gibbs?
Yeah, but look at how he tries to run after Gibbs. Like he's trying to give 100%.
He's like right there. He's like, oh, I don't know.
But watch him try to run.
You're just not going to catch up to him.
Looks like he pulled a hammy. Yeah. There you go. Don't need an offensive coordinator to coach that.
No, you do not. I could call that play.
All right, let's get off the lines. Sucks. We'll talk about the future later. Another great moment for me as a sports fan. Ohio State won the national championship last night.
We could not be talking about this game for very long.
No, we're big college football fans. I love the sport, even though it's 12-team playoff now. I did sleep through the majority of this game, if I'm being honest. I woke up, did not see the end, saw the final score. I was like, oh, okay, what happened?
But Notre Dame missed the field goal that they attempted down, 16 points.
They were down 16. They attempted a field goal.
And they missed that. That's when I turned it off, and then I turned it back on with a minute and a half later and saw they were only down 8. Or a minute and a half left in the game. And then I saw Jeremiah Smith cook on a third down.
So yeah. Can't play man. We told him that. Please don't play man.
Terrible.
Your players aren't as good as you think.
It's not terrible coverage.
Respectfully.
It's not going to work.
Yeah.
It wasn't that exciting, other than Notre Dame's first drive.
Yeah, that drive was awesome. One of the best drives I've ever seen. I fell asleep when it was 7-7, so the game was still in the balance in the first half. I just was like, I am tired and I don't really care. I did check in with our resident Ohio State fans, Ryan and Wyatt. I texted them, now that the dust has settled and the confetti has rained down, how do we feel about this season as a whole and Ryan Day? Wyatt said, I assume this is for the podcast. Kind of, but I'm also curious because, you guys are in the weeds of the rivalry, and Wyatt has said some very mean things about Ryan Day, even if they were to win a natty. So I was genuinely curious how things have changed over the course of the year. RC started us off basically saying I said some bad things about Ryan Day, but he took care of business and turned the team around, and they finally reached the potential. And he's like, he's the head coach. I just watch the games on my couch. I enjoy Michigan fans coping right now. No shame, I'd be doing the same thing. but it feels good to know Ohio State is the best team in the country. Wyatt painted a beautiful picture about how depressed he was after the Thanksgiving loss, but now that they dug deep and they ran the gauntlet of the CFP, of the teams they knocked off, that he's fully back in. He basically says, I apologize for nothing I said, but I'm all the way back in on Ryan Day. He hates all the haters, blah, blah, blah. And Ryan Day is now a historic and legendary coach. So they're fully back in, as I expected, because that's just human nature. But it's interesting. It's like I told them, I was like, hey, can't be mad at you. I'm a national championships guy over everything. And in the new world of college football, it's kind of sad, but the emphasis and the importance of the game every year is going to be diminished because now it's turning into more like an NFL regular season game where you can then still go on and all your biggest goals in front of you. Whereas in previous iterations, as we've talked about at length, if they lost that game, they're not even in the playoff and it hurts worse. So they're just victims of the new circumstances. So I really can't blame the 180 they did on their head coach.
Yeah, that's why realignment and expansion is ass. But anyways.
Yeah. Good for the rivalry, I guess. So yeah, that's the game.
Michigan is no longer the defending national champions.
Coward move by Marcus Freeman to kick a field goal down 16.
Don't know what the plan. He did not have a great coaching day. I'm a big Marcus Freeman guy. He just did not have a great day.
Not a fan of fake punts.
Punt was horrible.
Yeah, without your offense on the field when it's 4th and 2. I'd rather just go for it. Run QB power. Evan can get behind that.
Run QB power. Right
that was a QB run play. I was just sitting there like thinking like, how can they do this with Bryce Underwood? This is so nice. Now I don't want him to get hit as hard as Riley Leonard was getting hit on that first drive.
Dude threw up the first drive.
Crazy. So yeah, that wrapped up. And then last topic, and we'll get out of here, is our 2 basketball teams. I really want to clear the floor. You guys are up at number 8 in the country. We're getting to the point where Evan's going to be mad.
Doesn't matter.
Evan hates
SEC
when you guys
bias.
are ranked high.
College basketball is SEC bias. You see all the freaking SEC teams ranked in top 25?
Yeah.
Joel and Ari,
but you don't like being ranked high, Evan.
No, I don't. I don't give a shit about AP poll. It doesn't matter at all.
Marissa's the same way.
It's nice to have a single-digit buy-in, though, Evan.
She doesn't like when Michigan State's ranked.
Yes, but the only thing that I like about being ranked is that I'm always ranked higher than Michigan. That's filter. The only thing I care. That's the only thing I care about.
No, the top 25 filter. You show up in those games.
Yeah,
but like
being on the main page is nice.
But then, like I don't even care if I'm 8 as long as like Michigan's not higher than me. If I'm 22, I don't care as long as Michigan's not higher than me. That's all I care about.
I care about 16-2. That is a pretty looking record.
Undefeated.
Haven't lost since Thanksgiving.
Only one of 2 teams.
For those that didn't watch, they beat Penn State and Illinois this week. Up next is at Rutgers MSG.
2 nail biters this week.
Alex.
What?
Well, we didn't actually win on Sunday. Actually, the refs and Izzo won it for us.
Even on the fouls were even, and Illinois was in the double bonus with 12 minutes left.
And, there were freshman superstars averaging over 3.5 fouls per game the last 4 or 5 games.
What? It was all bullshit.
It's not Brad Underwood's fault for subbing in way too early.
Deep listeners of the podcast will know Alex's long-standing beef with Illinois fans. Just wanted to open the floor up to you. Your thoughts on their commentary after the game?
I've never seen a fan base that is just so like the biggest sore losers on the planet. They just cannot accept a defeat whatsoever.
They blame everybody else besides
everything.
themselves.
Everything is about what went wrong against them, not anything that their team did ever. Nothing Brad Underwood did, nothing the team did, nothing the other team did well against them. It's always about some other bullshit reason. They are the worst Big Ten fan base for any sport by far. I don't even think it's close. And I think Michigan is the worst. I think Michigan State is sometimes the worst. But Illinois basketball fan on Twitter, they are just insufferable. I can because I can't stop reading all their tweets. They're so ridiculous. So ridiculous. They compared Izzo to Hitler a few times.
Well, Hunter Dickinson laid the groundwork for that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they're DMing Chief of Prop some crazy things, super not nice things, can't read on air. They're just bad people, bad fans. They act like their program is like UConn. Like they've won a billion national championships. They've made one Final Four since I've been alive. They barely ever make the second weekend. They lost in the Elite Eight last year, and the player that got them there, and they're going to hang his jersey when we play against them again this year. Just softest, most loser program of all time. Can't stand them. Can't stand their fans. They didn't deserve to win. They lost. I don't know what to tell you. They're just losers. They can't accept it. They never will. Win something. Call me when you do.
Would you rather Michigan win a national title in basketball than them?
Yes.
Hell yeah.
I can't can't stand them.
Evan.
No, that's idiotic.
Wasn't for you, Evan. I know your answer. I know your answer.
That's stupid.
I mean, Evan, between like this game, Izzo's Hitler, they said we put a hit on Kofi Coburn. They said we tried to kill Ayu Dosunmu. They're psychotic. They're full-blown psychotic.
Who hit Dosunmu in the face and broke his nose?
Sissoko. He would never do that.
One of the nicest guys ever.
He wears a polo to Lujas.
Dosunmu's career better because of that broken face. He went on a tear in the Big Ten with the mask.
I don't like the Michigan State Illinois series. They act like they're so much better than us in every aspect. It's
they're
like
jealous of what we have, so they have to.
Someone put up the Wikipedia graphic of Illinois' like tournament.
The guy said that our trophy case isn't as good.
They're like Michigan State isn't that much better, and it was like 1,000 times better in every single category. I was like, what is this guy talking about? They're delusional.
They're riding like a crazy high of their last 3 years is what they're classifying. It really is not that special.
They didn't even go to a Final Four.
No, they won the conference tournament this last year and in 2021, and they won their regular season title in 2022. Yeah.
Who they beat?
Was it Iowa? Was it the game they beat Iowa?
Who beat Purdue then?
They did, because we lost to Purdue in this. Oh no, Purdue lost the next game to Wisconsin, didn't they? Some weird. Oh, Big Ten tournament's been weird lately. I don't know.
Purdue lost to Wisconsin in overtime. Illinois beat Nebraska in the semifinals and then beat Wisconsin. So a real barn burner draw for Illinois. They beat Ohio State, number 10 seed, Nebraska, number 3 seed, and Wisconsin, number 5 seed on their way to the Big Ten tournament title.
3 seed last year is just
power of the shooter. So, yeah, they're insufferable. I agree. You guys are still on your way. It's a quiet week for both teams, which is kind of nice, honestly. Just to relax and reset here at Rutgers. Can never take it lightly. I think that's at MSG, correct?
Yep, 1:30 CBS right before everybody watches the AFC Championship game. Shout
out to the CBS announcers. Alex and I love them on the car ride. They're good stuff.
They're so good.
He is great. Clark Kellogg and
what's his name again?
Spiro.
He's phenomenal. He's actually very good at his job. He's underrated.
He is great.
I also hate CBS on this TV because CBS during college basketball is the only time it buffers and lags on YouTube TV. And so I was watching it. I don't
know why yours does.
Paramount Plus. I watched it on Paramount Plus.
Butler's
it's just college basketball because I watched the freaking NFL game. The Bills Ravens 0 buffers the entire time.
That's strange. That actually makes no sense. I don't know why it would do that.
Correct.
It's your own personal hell.
I was like, I just wish if it was on CBS, I wish it would do it every single time.
I want Spiro Dides to call as many big games as he can. That guy rocks.
Very big.
I'm gonna cut this clip and tag him just to let him know he's doing a great job.
He's great at his job.
He's great.
Just like he has a big game voice. He doesn't over talk, and Clark Kellogg plays off of him phenomenally going in the break. He's kind of got that Bill Rafferty like funny comment thing going down where he just nails it every time to break.
Yeah, because
buffet style. I mean, it was just
Clark is
experienced. What he wants, buffet style.
Clark used to do the Final Four. He's very experienced.
Yeah, those two are great.
I hope they do the Rutgers game.
A CBS game on Sunday just feels big. They make it feel big.
You never know. Your head coach might fight someone like that's what I think of now on CBS after the Juwan Howard Wisconsin game.
It's weird. Right back. We'll probably have Spiro again.
Frankie Fiddler, underrated play of the game, following out Iacochonis. The guy knows how to draw him. That was just crafty moves.
Most round fouls last year.
He's a hooper. He lands on 2 feet, knows how to play. Is Michigan's loss to Minnesota going to cost them a chance at the Big Ten title?
Yes.
No, because you still have 2 games against Michigan State. You probably still have one. Well, you have 1 game against Purdue upcoming. I'm guessing you still have 1 game against Illinois.
Yep.
Everybody that's in the top is still in front
No,
of you,
because
so
you
it's
still
not
play
gonna
us
cost you.
twice.
Thank you. I just already did
That's what
that.
Evan just said.
Everyone's going to lose games.
But
If you're
going to
win a Big Ten race, though, you do not lose to the worst team in the Big Ten on the road. Those are the road games you have to win. You're going to lose a lot of road games in general.
So Evan's answer is the right answer. But the sport fan answer in my head is like you don't close your eyes, and this Big Ten winner did not lose to Minnesota on the road. Like that's just one of those losses.
And then you go to OT with Northwestern at home, like the next game. So maybe Michigan's just not good enough to win the Big Ten is more so the thing after the last 2 years.
Yeah, and I saw a pretty spot-on tweet from Ant Wright. I think as Michigan State, Illinois fan were going to war, and Purdue fans were like, hey, don't forget about us. It's like he said, you don't see many Michigan fans inserting themselves in these talks because they're not sure if their team's actually good yet. That's how I feel. Like I'm like, I think we're talented, and I know we should make the tournament and everything, and like actually have a chance to do something. But I don't know what version of this team I'm getting every night. Like it's like even Northwestern's a scrappy team.
I know what it is. Grant,
I guess
you go up double digits, you turn the ball over 55 times, get it back down to a tie game, and then have to close it out.
Yeah.
That's what happens every Michigan game.
Don't have quality enough guards.
Don't have any depth.
Yeah. And you can't rely on Golden to score 35 points a night, but he's just playing out of his goddamn mind.
And I told you on Sunday, Danny Wolf, who has the ball in his hands every time, he just turns the ball over a lot too.
We play Saturday, not Sunday on CBS.
Yeah, it's Saturday.
Oh,
yeah.
I was
Michigan's
wrong.
got a game of the year type vibe for them at Purdue on Friday.
They win
the 24th.
that, you can call everybody way back in. You'd be way back in because Purdue.
I have a question for you guys.
Yeah.
Do you guys like or dislike the new Fox primetime games with it being on Friday night?
With Gus Johnson? Absolutely not. He's terrible, Evan.
I don't mind Gus.
Evan.
Probably dislike.
He talked about Ohio State-Michigan football game our entire game.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's bad.
He's a Michigan football fan. What do you expect?
Yeah, I don't like it because I don't like Gus Johnson calling games anymore in any sport because he's bad at it.
I don't like the Friday nights. I like big events not on Friday nights for sports.
Friday feels like JV.
Just my 2 cents.
So no.
I do think setting myself up to get hurt, I just have a weird feeling that Michigan's going to win that game at Purdue.
I got to find a way to get to the Michigan game.
I just feel like they could because it's one of the, Ohio State's playing right now, assuming they do beat Ohio State, which it looks like they're up 11. We have longer rest. Now they do get to rest until Friday.
I think that's worse in college basketball.
Rest?
I might be crazy here, but I feel like every time a team comes off like 7 days rest, they shoot terribly for the entire first half.
I think it depends on your coach. I like the idea of Dusty
Michigan
May.
State, every time out of a full week rest, they are terrible.
Ooh, so Rutgers could be a sloppy first half.
I think Rutgers also has a week.
With Dusty May and staff, I like them having more time to prepare for Purdue. I feel like they could put something together and treat this game like it's a big, big game, which it is. And I just like that feeling. And we haven't had the House of Horrors. It's not like we go into Purdue and win per se, but it's normally like pretty damn close games, even during the Dickinson years against Edie. So,
well, we had a close game at Purdue last year. What do you mean?
I'm just saying previous ones where you guys used to always say it was like just a nightmare.
We just wouldn't win.
Well, yeah, because we would always play at Purdue on CBS on Saturday or Sunday and get absolutely you-know-what.
They would just make 1,000 threes with all their white role players. Because that's what they do at home.
Yeah. I could see the letdown spot if Michigan beats Purdue, then they lose 2 days later. Or 3 days, no, Saturday, Sunday, then Monday they play home versus Penn State. Like that would be a game they would lose.
Monday game? Gross.
Yeah. So big stretch coming up. We'll see. But both teams still in the thick of it. Michigan State obviously looking incredibly impressive. And I guess stay tuned. We might lose our defensive coordinator by tomorrow. You never know what's going to happen for the Lions. I think that's it.
Michigan State hockey took 4 out of 6 points on the Michigan State-Michigan weekend series. Should be mentioned. People were like, oh, they split. No, they didn't. 4-2 is not a split.
Oh, because overtime you get 1 point?
Yes.
For going to overtime?
Yes.
I don't know how college hockey points work.
You get points for OT.
I tune in when it's a trip to the Frozen Fours on the line. That's when I get invested.
Yep, we'll probably beat you guys like 6 out of 8 times this year, and then play again in some stupid game that shouldn't happen, should never happen in the tournament. I'm sure that'll happen again.
At the small arena that it was played at, there was like 700 people.
1,200 fans.
Also crazy that they had that game on BTN Plus on Friday.
We'll be on the Huntington Center.
Your BTN Plus still work?
I think so. I don't think I've accidentally canceled it yet.
I should fire that up next time.
Cheers to 198.
Cheers.